This evening, first, a major legal victory for Ghana's teachers. Find out how the Court of Appeal's ruling supports workers' rights and challenges the government. Plus, can a fractured opposition reunite before the 2025 elections? We break down the shaky coalition talks between APNU and AFC as their March deadline looms. Also, the government takes bold steps to improve healthcare and education nationwide. Hear what President Ali says about fixing persistent service delivery issues. And two execrable men face firearm charges after an alarming discovery near Makura Creek. We have the details on the illegal possession investigation. Finally, Trump's first day in office shakes the global health system as he announces a U.S. withdrawal from the World Health Organization. Stay tuned. These stories and more are coming up next on Headline News Update. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for January 22nd, 2025. I am Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, the Court of Appeal has ruled in favor of the Ghana Teachers Union, rejecting the government's request to pause a previous court order. That order required the government to continue deducting union dues from teachers' salaries and sending them to the Ghana Teachers Union. This decision is being celebrated as a significant win for the union and workers nationwide. The Ghana Teachers Union's lawyer Darren Wade explained that the court found the union would be unfairly affected if the delay was granted. GTU's General Secretary Coretta MacDonald called the ruling a landslide victory, stating it confirms the union's actions during the 75 days teachers' protests were legitimate and not politically motivated. Despite the court order in 2024 instructing the government to resume the deductions, MacDonald said the state has not complied for nearly a year, which he called a clear disregard for the law. The union is now considering further action to address this defiance. Attorney General Anil Namlal said he was not surprised by the ruling, but criticized the decision, arguing the government had substantial grounds for appeal. Meanwhile, the opposition's People's National Congress lauded the decision, accusing the government of ignoring the law and undermining democracy. The GTU remains determined to ensure the court's order are followed, as the dispute highlights broader concerns about the rule of law and workers' rights. In other news, the People's National Congress Reform led a Partnership for National Unity and the Alliance for Change AFC has signed a Memorandum of Understanding to explore a renewed coalition for 2025 general elections, marking a potential reunion 2 years after the split. However, internal conflicts and trust issues have placed the agreement on shaky grounds. AFC leader Nigel Hughes announced that the MOU is currently on life support, citing unresolved tensions. Hughes stated that there have been developments that cause a pause in the agreement, adding that AFC is prepared to contest the elections independently if necessary. While APNU members assert that PNCR leader Aubrey Norton should lead the coalition as the presidential candidate, Hughes disagreed, emphasizing the need for a transparent selection process. Hughes reiterated that the AFC unanimously chose him as their presidential candidate. The MOU outlines a two-phase approach to coalition talks, with a decision deadline set for March 31st. Meanwhile, the opposition camp faces growing skepticism about whether this uneasy partnership can overcome its differences to present a unified front in the upcoming elections. Efforts to boost electoral appeal continue, but internal power struggle casts doubt on the coalition's prospects. A Partnership for National Unity and the Alliance for Change initially formed a coalition to win the 2015 general and regional elections. However, the coalition was ousted in 2020, leading to the two parties going their separate ways. Now, after several years, they are attempting to reunite to contest the upcoming 2025 elections. The parties have until March 31st to finalize their plans. However, questions now linger about whether the coalition can overcome past divisions and present a united front in the upcoming elections. On a different note, a man is in custody following a firearm incident near Makura Creek. Here's Malcolm Carter with the details.
Police in Regional Division 7 have arrested 37-year-old Aubrey Amma Haynes of Hamper Bay, Essequibo River, after he admitted to discharging a loaded firearm near Makuaraya Creek on January 20, 2025. During the investigation, officers discovered a semi-automatic pistol with 6 live rounds concealed on Haynes' person. Haynes, who does not possess a firearm license, claimed the weapon belonged to his uncle, 73-year-old Ryston Messiah, also of Hamper Bay. Messiah admitted to owning a pistol and a rifle, both of which had not been renewed since 2021. He alleged that Haynes had taken the pistol from a locked metal case without his permission. However, Haynes stated that Messiah was aware of his use of the firearms for hunting and had instructed him to hide them. Further investigation led police to Messiah's residence, where a search uncovered the rifle hidden under a bed and 7 life-matching rounds stored upstairs. Both Haynes and Messiah are now under investigation for multiple firearm-related offenses, including illegal possession and failure to report missing weapons. The firearms and ammunition have been secured as evidence, and Haynes remains in police custody, cooperating with investigators. Authorities are examining Messiah's claims and his alleged involvement in concealing the rifle as the probe continues. Reporting for Headline News Update, Malcolm MacArthur.
Thanks, Malcolm. Stick around when we return. 2 men remanded on serious criminal charges in separate cases, and President Ali outlines vision to enhance service efficiency in health and education.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Our smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Welcome back. 2 young men face serious charges and remain in custody in unrelated criminal cases. For more, we go to Malcolm Carter.
2 young men are facing criminal charges and have been remanded to prison in unrelated cases involving serious offenses. Felix Marks, a 19-year-old mechanic from Aranaputa Valley, North Rupununi, has been charged with 6 counts of cattle theft and 1 count of horse theft. Marks was arrested on January 18, 2025 by ranks from the Lethem police station. He appeared at the Lethem Magistrates Court before Magistrate Amadat Chandan, where he was not required to enter a plea. The matter has been adjourned to March 11, 2025 for further reporting. In a separate case, Ayo Evans, a 20-year-old minor from Dry Shore, Essequibo Coast, was arrested on January 17, 2025, being accused of inflicting grievous bodily harm on David Torres. Evans appeared before Magistrate Tariq Mohammed at the Bardico Magistrates Court and pleaded not guilty to the charge, which falls under Section 50 of the Criminal Law Offences Act. His next court hearing is scheduled for February 11, 2025. Both defendants have been remanded to custody as their cases progress, highlighting ongoing efforts to address criminal activity across the regions. Reporting for Headline News Update, Malcolm Carter.
Thanks, Malcolm. On Tuesday, the government agreed to establish minimum standards for the delivery of healthcare and education nationwide, from ensuring clean and functional washrooms to addressing persistent issues like medication delivery to patients on a long-term basis, rather than having them make monthly trips to refill. President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali outlined a goal after an all-day meeting with key technical officers from the country's 10 administrative regions.
We want to ensure every member in our population have access to quality, world-class education.
The meeting brought together regional executive officers, regional health officers, regional education officers, and ministers of education, health, finance, and local government to assess progress, address challenges, and strengthen service delivery mechanism. The president reaffirmed his administration's commitment to improving government services, emphasizing a reduction in cost and time for citizens while enhancing the quality of service delivery, stressing the importance of creating a customer-oriented system that delivers value at all levels.
Reduce the costs of people receiving government business, reduce the time it takes them to receive government service, and improve the quality and delivery of that service.
The meeting addressed inefficiencies in service delivery, particularly health and education, and explored solutions to optimize government investments. Dr. Ali highlighted the need for accountability, transparency, and reliability in these sectors, which are fundamental to his administration's strategy of providing world-class services to all citizens. The president recently received complaints about the challenges healthcare providers and patients face over time with medication and was quick to attempt to resolve it.
We have to ration our drugs. We have to tell patients, well, you can't get 2 months of drugs this month. You could only get 1. You're going to have to check back in with us to see if we have the medication for you.
Our patients should not be coming every month just to have the replenishment of their medical supplies. That every health center must upkeep a full register of all the patients, chronic disease patients, and their medical supply needs. And they must be given 3 months supplies. And if their clinic date, their doctor recommends a change, then that change goes into the system.
President Ali acknowledged persistent issues such as inefficient infrastructure, inadequate training, and supply chain gaps.
What we really sought to achieve today was finding the formula that would fix existing issues, the inefficiencies in the system, whether it's the small issues like washroom, sanitation, issues within health centers, health outposts, schools, or whether it was structural issues of changing the system to make it more people-centered and people-oriented. And that's what we want.
Proposed solutions include decentralizing medical supply management, implementing a quality assurance body with civil society involvement, and ensuring continuous support through health centers. The president assured citizens that every region would have a supply-demand chart by the end of January to prevent delays in medication delivery. While challenges remain, Dr. Ali emphasized the government's focus on fixing existing issues and delivering on its promises, beginning with the minimum standards for delivering healthcare and education nationwide. Don't go away after the break. Thousands flee northeast Colombia as clashes between armed groups escalate, and migrants stranded in Mexico as appointments to enter U.S. cancelled.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Cheaply with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny? I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world.
Good evening, I'm Malcolm Carter. Welcome to our regional and international news segment, keeping you informed and up to date with the trending news stories worldwide. In the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago's opposition leader Kamal Prasad B. Cesar sparked widespread criticism across the Twin Islands after calling the Biden administration a quote disaster and accusing it of promoting devised quote woke policies. Trinidad and Tobago's government officials slammed her remarks as undiplomatic and damaging to Trinidad and Tobago's international relations. Despite international and external backlash, Prasad B. Cesar stood by her comments, defending her position with controversial claims. Critics warned her rhetoric risked undermining Trinidad and Tobago's diplomatic ties and global standing. Meanwhile, in Central America, migrant hopes are dashed as the U.S. ends the CBP One app used by nearly 1 million since January 2023 to secure border entry appointments. Tens of thousands of scheduled appointments were cancelled, leaving many stranded in Mexican shelters. The app's termination coincides with the reinstatement of the controversial quote "Remain in Mexico" policy, forcing asylum seekers to await quote U.S. court hearings from Mexico, reigniting humanitarian concerns. Now we turn our attention to South America. Authorities in Colombia say the death toll from guerrilla violence over drug trafficking territory in the northeast could be as high as 100. The situation has prompted President Gustavo Petro to suspend peace talks with the ELN guerrilla group. Al Jazeera's Alessandro Rampetti reports.
Exhausted and fearful, 15,000 people have arrived to this stadium in the city of Cúcuta in the last 5 days in search of refuge and aid. They're among the 25,000 forced to flee their homes amid fierce clashes between two rival armed groups in the Catatumbo region on the Venezuela border. Cindy del Carmen and her family arrived in Catatumbo 7 years ago, fleeing Venezuela's political and economic crisis. They say that when the clashes started, they tried to protect their home, but when armed men ordered them to leave, they had no choice.
The gunfire, the dead in the streets of the nearest town, it was unbearable. The armed men told us to leave immediately. We were terrified, especially for the kids. One stray bullet and it's over.
The violence, some of the worst in years, began when the National Liberation Army, or ELN, launched a campaign against a dissident faction of former FARC rebels to control lucrative drug routes. The rebels have targeted demobilized fighters, community leaders and civilians they see as opposing their operations. This public school professor, who asked to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation, says the crisis was inevitable.
My students were telling me, "Teacher, take care of yourself. Something horrible is about to happen." And it's so hard to see how these kids have normalized their situation that is not normal. It's abhorrent. FARC and ELN dominate the culture there. They were an agreement of sorts that all came apart. They pretend that they represent some ideology, but the truth is, it's all about drug trafficking, nothing else.
This crisis has already become a major burden for the city of Cucuta. The mayor told us that they were able to serve 6,000 lunches today, but with more people arriving practically every hour, they fear that they will soon run out of resources.
We already need help. We've been overwhelmed for 3 days already. We had planned to receive 2,000 people max, but here we're trying to serve 15,000, 8 times more than what we were expecting.
In response to the worsening humanitarian crisis, President Gustavo Petro, who made it a priority to bring what he calls total peace to the country, suspended ongoing negotiations with the ELN and announced he will declare a state of emergency over the attacks. Meanwhile, 3,000 soldiers have been deployed to Catatumbo to regain control. But many fear escalating violence across the country signals a return to a past Colombians hoped they had left behind. Alessandro Ampietti, Al Jazeera, Cucuta.
Finally, on Trump's first day, he announced that the US would withdraw from the World Health Organization, significantly affecting the UN. As WHO's top funder, the UN contributed $1.2 billion in 2022 to 2023, Al Jazeera's Gabriel Elizondo reports.
The Trump administration has barely started, yet already the effects are being felt at the United Nations, this time with the announcement by the U.S. president that the United States will pull out of the World Health Organization. The U.S. is the WHO's top funder, contributing $1.2 billion to the organization from 2022 to 2023. On Tuesday, the UN was careful not to directly criticize Trump.
The agency, as you know, relies on a number of donors, both from governments and private donors. And obviously, any shortfall from one group or one country will put additional pressure on other countries and other donors to step up.
The UN has seen this movie before. During Trump's first term in office, he cut U.S. funding to several specialized UN agencies it deemed as having anti-Israel bias. In her confirmation hearing on Tuesday, Elise Stefanik, Trump's nominee to be UN ambassador, made it clear holding back funding to the UN was an option.
What are your most important levers to wield authority to bring about reform?
I think our vote on the Security Council and the fact that we are the biggest funder.
Analysts say while Trump might be the same person he was 4 years ago, the world isn't. Do you think that the UN is better prepared for Trump this time around?
Yes and no. Yes, because they know what to expect just in terms of his personality. However, the geopolitical circumstances of the times today are profoundly different than they were when Trump first came to the UN in 2017. The world is a much more fractious place. The UN system is in a much more precarious place today.
It's clear Trump will return to the same playbook he used against the UN in his first term in office. What's different this time around is it appears he's prepared to act faster and even more aggressively. Gabriel Elizondo, Al Jazeera at the United Nations in New York.
That wraps up our regional and international news segment for tonight. Thank you for joining us as we bring you the latest updates from around the globe. I'm Malcolm Carter. Good night. See you next time. Back to you, baby.
Thanks, Malcolm. Coming up next is the 3-day weather forecast. And that's it, TV2 Headline News for this Wednesday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.